Now, the 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Brought to you by TireOutlet.com. Wholesale prices, premium service.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it.
All right, Lauren Brooks, would you like to rock?
I want to rock right now.
Awesome. I have a question for you as we kick off the 10-minute drill. By the way, gang, the party pack has been booted to a special edition of Whether or Not that's coming up a little bit later this morning.
Call it audible. Stay tuned.
All right. Can you get it to stop raining in Florida? Or at least Jacksonville, Florida?
You know, I
Since you're a weather
get on the
expert.
cruise ship tomorrow. Now, this is not like any kind of impact on that, right? We got no like big storms out there. I am just clueless. I don't pay attention to anything. I really don't. This is just some like little winter nor'easter or something going on, right? Isn't that what we're doing here? It's probably not even a nor'easter. I think it's coming from the west.
I don't know if the wind that we're
gonna be
having
too
higher
bad.
winds right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that affects the cruise ship.
Yeah, I don't need
I wouldn't
that.
think so, though.
Yeah, I don't need that. All
But
right.
you should be getting updates if for some reason there were, really bad.
No, I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm ready to go, man. I am surprised because I've never been on a cruise.
I can't believe that.
I'm not a big cruise guy. Well, being in going to high school in Puerto Rico and living on a like at a cruise port, basically, it's just I don't know. The cruises never really appealed that much to me, but I have really gotten to look forward to it which I'm glad. You can go two ways on that. Like I did it just because that's what they wanted to do, and yeah, it's okay. I'll do it, and I'll try and have fun. But you can either, as you get closer, kind of wish you weren't going, or you can really want to go, and I really want to go. So
Good, yeah.
Anyway.
I have friends. The wedding that I went to last week, and they're on their honeymoon right now on a cruise ship.
Nice. All right.
So
well,
I've been seeing lots of pictures.
At 1:00 on Sunday afternoon, I'll be bellied up to with Gopher and Doc there. I'll be having a couple of cocktails, and I'll be watching the Jags and the Dolphins on some little 14-inch black and white TV up in the corner. Okay. That's not how it is?
It'll be a flat screen.
Okay, so I'll have it, and they'll have like the Sunday ticket on for me beef somewhere, you think?
I think you'll be able to find it.
Most ships have a sports bar.
Tell me how the Jags beat the Dolphins on Sunday.
If Leonard Fournette is all fired up because of the fact that his head coach said he was hurt, then he proclaimed he was not hurt. And he's been listed on the injury report this week with the foot injury, but he's been a full participant at practice, so there's something going on there. So if he just comes out on a tear, then I think it's entirely possible that if Cody Kessler's not asked to do very much, the Jaguars, with the defense that at times can shut out a team like the Colts, then I think the Jaguars can win. The problem is the Dolphins are better constructed right now on offense, and the Jaguars really have not been able to run the football. So what I'm thinking that they could possibly do, they have yet to do.
I thought it was interesting. Leonard Fournette said yesterday or earlier in the week in the locker room that he's not in good shape. And remember, he came back, was supposedly in the best shape that he's been in. And
preseason, he had lost 10 pounds.
And I even asked when he first came back a couple of weeks ago. I was in the press box. I said, "Is it just him? Does Fournette look heavy to you? He looks." And he does to me. He has looked heavy and slow and plodding since he returned.
Well, it makes sense. With a hamstring injury, what can you do? I don't even think you can get on the bike, right? And because of where that injury is. And so it makes sense if you weren't allowed to do any sort of activity for, what was he out? At least 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So then what would your body wouldn't be the same.
I think Leonard was eating spicy Cheetos. That's what I was thinking.
All right, Jeff, has Josh Gordon played his last down in the NFL?
I'm afraid he has. I don't know where the legality of this latest infraction puts him. I don't know for sure how long he has to go before he can even reapply, but it seems like a problem, an issue that he's just not going to be able to conquer. I mean, when you get put on that zero tolerance list in the NFL, that's an awful hard assignment for an addict. And, we can call it mental illness. I've seen it described as. We can call it anything you want to call it. Josh Gordon is an addict, and he's one of the people who would have been best served never having put a joint on his lips or a beer in his mouth because it affects him differently. I don't think Josh Gordon is stupid. I think Josh Gordon, if he could, would stop and make money and play a game he loves. But man, he had a 2-year absence last time. This is going to come, I'm sure, with a no holds barred 1 complete year. I just don't see how.
And it reminds you so much of Justin Blackman, doesn't it? A really talented football player who just can't shake whatever it is off the field.
I feel more for Gordon because I feel like he loves football. Justin Blackman just didn't like football.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. He played it because he was good at it. He made money. Justin Blackman doesn't like football. He didn't like playing football, and that probably doesn't help. Interesting scene in the Philadelphia Eagles locker room this week where they have built a shrine to Nick Foles after winning the Super Bowl last year and then beating the Rams on the road. The Eagles stay alive in the playoff race at least. They host the 10-4 Texans this weekend. I have a couple of questions for you. Is Nick Foles in Philly next year? If he's not, is he a starter somewhere? And what kind of shot do you give them against the Texans this weekend?
The Texans and the Eagles are supposed to be both built on defense. I'll answer your second question first. Right, but the Eagles' defense hasn't been nearly as good this season as they were a season ago. We obviously understand that storyline here in Jacksonville. So I think the Texans are going to beat the Eagles. As far as Nick Foles goes, oh, goodness. Predicting where he's going to be next year, I think, is extraordinarily difficult based off of another Carson Wentz injury. If I'm the Eagles, I don't let him get out of Philadelphia. He understands the system. He's obviously a not fan favorite, but a player favorite in that locker room. You don't build a shrine, which is weird, by the way. The shrine looks like he died. I'm
going to explain it in depth after your
very
answer.
strange, but I love that that's how they feel about him. And if you trust your backup, look, we've seen it here. If you trust your backup, there's nothing better than going into a really important game and being able to not worry about that guy behind center. But if you don't trust your backup, then that's when the entire season can get out of hand.
The amazing thing to me about Nick Foles is if you look at Nick Foles' stats, if he hasn't been in Philadelphia, he hasn't been very good. He had 3 years he had the one unbelievable year with Chip Kelly. He had 27 touchdowns and 2 picks his second year in the league. He had a passer rating of 119.1. He went to St. Louis. He played 11 games. He completed 56% of his passes. His passer rating was 69. He had 7 touchdowns and 10 picks. He played in Kansas City very briefly. He played a game for the Jags, and then he went back to Philly. And he doesn't wow you with his stats, but boy, he has won the big games. His career passer rating is only 87. In the last 2 years in Philly is only 79.5 and 81.5. But they wouldn't have a Super Bowl if they hadn't had him. As for the shrine, it is just kind of bizarre. It's in his locker. It has a book, a picture, a framed picture.
Is it in his locker or is it Chris Long's locker?
No,
I think it's in Chris Long's locker. Like, he built a shrine.
He built it for him?
He built a shrine to Nick Foles.
Oh, I got you. On his well, it's confusing the way it's written. It says, Chris Long is trying to keep the good vibes going via Nick Foles' shrine that he assembled on his locker shelf. I guess, okay, so it's his locker shelf. That's even weirder.
Yeah, it's got Chris Long's locker.
It's got a couple pictures of Nick Foles, one with the Rams. It's got some religious artifacts.
That's why it looks weird to me.
Some candles. It does look like Nick. Wouldn't it be terrible if Nick Foles died this weekend?
Oh, gosh.
I bet you he would feel just awful.
Chris Long had to specifically tell Fletcher Cox how to light the candles. Don't light the small ones. It's important that you do it in the right order. And then Cox says, don't start a fire. I mean, it's nice in certain locker rooms to be able to have that levity, right? We attack the Jaguars if there's any sort of laughter after a game. People get so mad because no fan is laughing when their team has fallen from grace, and so it's good at least for some other teams. Where does Zion end up, Jeff?
Whoever picks first, man. That's it. Whoever picks first is where Zion goes. Zion Williamson, and another fantastic Duke freshman, by the way, R.J. Barrett, beat Texas Tech last night. Did I miss something? Did Duke move its on-campus arena to Madison Square Garden? How many college games does Madison Square Garden host? My
this
gosh.
is like a weird one-off, too.
It's like every week there's 2 or 3 games.
Florida played in Madison Square Garden already this season.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
There were 2 games there just this weekend at MSG. But yeah, one thing that has happened, before this basketball season started, if you looked at mock drafts, Zion Williamson would show up anywhere from, the top 2 or 3 all the way down to 7 or 8. And now just about every draft you look at, Zion Williamson is a number 1, and he should be. And so I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks in the hope that they tank bad enough that they get a march on Zion. All right, one last question for you. This one makes... Oh, I just got like some sort of phaser shot at me. This makes no sense to me. It doesn't, and it would make more sense if he were a starter. It would make even more sense if the game mattered. It would make even more sense if he, I don't know, wasn't leaving in half a week. Can you make some sense of why Justin Fields would play for Georgia in the Sugar Bowl?
I cannot make sense of it. It seems like obviously the risk for injury, but also if you've decided to leave, why would you do one last go round in a system that you're no longer going to play in? I really don't understand it. Maybe it's just his kind of Kirby Smart's way of saying, like, sorry, dude, and if you want to play, by all means, go for it. I didn't get you in games enough this season. Good luck. I cannot tell you why a guy who is at least in all likelihood headed to an Ohio State or, another Oklahoma, wherever, why he would play in this game. And it means nothing for Georgia.
Is it a mistake for these guys to just leave after a year?
Fields' situation, I certainly understand why he's leaving. Jake Fromm might be a 4-year starter. He may not be a guy that leaves early. So Fields may not ever get his chance to really shine until, 1 year? So that one I do understand. But at the same time, he knew that going in. So he chose the wrong school. That's the bottom line. He should have chosen Florida.
Penn State.
Right, absolutely. Any of those schools that he was better set up to succeed.
Yeah. All right, that's the 10-minute drill, gang. You're welcome. I see Urban Meyer is going to be the theater of the absurd. Urban Meyer is going to be a college professor now.
I did see
at
that.
Ohio State.
I heard they're serving pizza.
And the class name?
It's like ethics or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
leadership and something. Yeah.
Leadership, okay, that's fine.
Leadership and character.
Yeah, character not so much. The leadership part, Urban Meyer could teach a master's class. Character, you might need to take one. The Friday 5-pack comes your way next. Listen, gang, we have done nothing but throw lumps of coal in that stocking for a couple of weeks. It's time to make things right. So we've still got that. A little later this morning, we're going to play Whether or Not. I'm going to give you a chance to take home today's 1010XL Holiday Gift Guide prize pack. That's straight ahead as well. We also have a football fix. Lots of news from the NFL to get to. We're going to talk Jags, their trip to Miami. And take your calls at 641-1010. Our email address is thedrill@1010XL.com. It is an All-American Friday, brought to you by the A-Team at All-American Roll-Off and Recycling. Surely you're interested in cutting expenses to your budget in 2019. Well, get ahead and call All-American right now. By the way, you're a contractor. You want your job site to be a reflection of the kind of quality work you do. Not some beat-up trash can sitting on site for months as potential customers drive by. All-American has all new containers and new trucks. So see the difference with All-American Roll-Off and Recycling.